Case 2. Suspect Napoleon Bonaparte. Date of birth the 15th of August 1769. Sex male. Height a respectable 5'6". Occupation Emperor of the French. Station House 4, Detective Stiffman again? I'm off to France now? What? France? Stiffman and the Emperor. Case 2. You heard that right, I'm Detective Stiffman, and today we'll be tackling one of the greatest, if not the greatest military commander of all time, Emperor of the French and King of Italy, Napoleon Bonaparte. My search will be thorough and we'll be investigating all 5'6" inches of him. That came out wrong. All I'm trying to insinuate is that, contrary to what the British propaganda wants you to believe, Napoleon wasn't actually that short. And to go a step even further, in fact, the average 19th century British male was under 5'6".
Don't know about that. God save King George. God save Georgie G.
They were practically roasting themselves. Charge 1. During a snowy day in a military school in France, a 14-year-old boy who spoke French with a funny Italian accent organized a snowball fight that lasted 10 days. The battle was glorious. Trenches were dug and forts were constructed. The kids were having a jolly time. Oh, what's that, Junior? You got smashed in the face with a snowball packed with gravel? Huh? It was the quiet Italian kid who loves to cheat during games? I'm not saying it was young Napoleon, but he did become quite notorious for cheating during games, especially ones that involved cards. But hey, I'm Detective Stiffman, and as we all know, only airtight evidence on this channel. Plus, he was only 14, I'll give him a warning charge. Assault. Charge 2. Napoleon was born in Corsica on August 15, 1769. Corsica is an island in the Mediterranean right next to Italy, but it wasn't Italian. No, it had just become French at the time of his birth. As a young man, Napoleon, like every other self-proclaimed red-blooded Corsican, idolized a man called Pascal Paoli and was absolutely thrilled to hear that he was allowed back on the island by the French revolutionary government. So much so, in fact, that he asked the French army for a 3-month leave to meet his idol. Now, do you know the saying, don't meet your idols? Yeah. Napoleon and Paoli didn't quite get along. For one reason or another, Napoleon went back to France and his humble position in its army. For a bit. He came back a year later in 1792 with a totally different mindset and joined a group who opposed Paoli's dictatorial leadership on the island. This time, it was personal. Paoli denounced Napoleon's entire family, kicking them off the island, effectively announcing them as outlaws on the island. Napoleon's Corsican obsession had ended. Outlaw. Charge 3. Napoleon exploded on the scene through his brilliant exploits during the siege of Toulon. His plan decisively won the battle and successfully drove the British-supported royalists out of Toulon. Now, part of this plan, a teeny tiny little part of this plan, may have involved blackmailing citizens into giving him supplies. You know, kind of like... You royalist? No? Show me. Take it all. Blackmail. Charge 4. Now, for all of Napoleon's greatness, he definitely had his fair share of luck. Very early, he caught the powerful eye of Maximilien Robespierre, master of the Reign of Terror, through his younger brother Augustin. Although this did help Napoleon earn rapid promotions, it also came back to bite him in the ass when Robespierre was overthrown during the Thermidorian reaction and Napoleon was seen as his protege. Napoleon was arrested on charges of conspiracy and treason. Consider that very lucky compared to what happened to his mentor. Conspiracy and treason. Charge 5. The War of the First Coalition saw revolutionary France push beyond its borders and dominate its neighbors. It was also the beginning of what was to be some of the most extensive looting in all of history. The French, spearheaded by Napoleon, did so much looting that at the end of the Napoleonic Wars, the Allies specifically discussed how they were going to return all of the stolen art. Apparently, they only ended up returning half of it. Looting. Charge 6. Napoleon's entire justification of the Egyptian campaign was that it was going to be some sort of civilizing mission. And civilized it was not. Savage crimes are committed by both sides, but nothing during the entire campaign rivals the atrocities committed during the siege of Jaffa. You see, capturing the city was absolutely crucial for Napoleon. The entire campaign relied on it. Hoping to take over the city with minimal casualties, Napoleon sent both a trumpeter and an officer to order to swift the rest of the city. What he got back wasn't quite the surrender of the city. It was actually the flying head of his poor messengers. Napoleon was furious. He seemed to have lost all care for his image. Even his extensive use of propaganda couldn't save him. He allowed his soldiers 2 days to do unspeakable things to the city's populace. He then executed all the Ottoman prisoners who fought against him, totaling at around 3,000. War crime. Charge 7. Napoleon packed a lot of things for Egypt. His soldiers obviously, a couple hundred scientists, and a handful of engineers. Now it was one of these engineers, Pierre Bouchard, who found the Rosetta Stone while digging a wall. The stone was quickly taken and deemed important. Grand larceny. Charge 8. Upon returning to France from Egypt in 1799, Napoleon was almost hit with a desertion charge. Desertion. Charge 9. On November 9th, 1799, Napoleon and his buddies, most notably his younger brother Lucien, overthrew the Directory by coup d'etat. He made himself first consul for 10 years and had 2 consuls appointed by him with consultative voices only. He was now officially the ruler of France. Coup d'etat. Charge 10. Napoleon's first act as consul was to legitimize his position of a constitution. With this in mind, the just ruler held a perfectly free and equal referendum that would make the French Revolution proud. Just kidding, the official results were announced by his younger brother, the one that helped him with the coup d'etat, and 54% of the voters didn't show up or something. Liberté, égalité, electoral fraud. Charge 11. A certain pamphlet was circulating around France. This pamphlet compared Napoleon to Caesar. Personally, I don't know how you can make such a connection, but obviously the French people didn't really like the whole optics of this and were appalled. Some reports say that Napoleon himself orchestrated the pamphlets, letting his younger brother Lucien, again, take the fall when things backfired. I want to give him a defamation charge for slandering his brother like that, but hey, once again, the evidence is just too circumstantial, but I will make him pay a 5-musket fine. Defamation. Charge 12. Due to Napoleon's decisive victories during the War of the Second Coalition, the Treaty of Amiens, which heavily favored Napoleon, was signed. Napoleon used this new peace to do some positive things. Just kidding, he reinstated slavery in most of France's colonies, most importantly in Saint-Domingue, modern-day Haiti, France's most profitable colony. This he believed would help fund his wars in Europe, but there was just one little problem. Slavery had already been abolished 8 years ago in 1794 during the French Revolution. Slave revolts erupted. Slavery. Charge 13. Detective Stiffman and the Emperor Part 2. Out now. Trust me, you're not gonna want to miss it. Subscribe. Please?